And speaking of contests of ineptitude, watch the Falcons and Titans game this week if you get a chance on NFL Replay because Tennessee had 5 turnovers and still won the game. I think Atlanta wasn't far behind. I think they themselves had 3 or 4 turnovers. I don't know what to say. I imagine this game must have been exciting to watch. A really sloppily played game, but maybe in the end that's what makes it exciting. Vince Young played really poorly. He had 3 picks on his own, but I guess he did enough to win the game. And of course it's not all him. Let's see. He obviously had that interception return near the end, which was huge. Really special play right there. And, Harrington, after 2 weeks of playing pretty well, kind of fell flat on his face. So they put Leftwich in there, and he screwed up a shovel pass of some sort that cost the Falcons the opportunity to tie the game, in my opinion. There's not a lot I can say about this game because I didn't see it, and as near as I can tell, it was just a big contest of who could suck more. But I don't know why you would put Byron Leftwich in personally, because Harrington was not playing well, but he knows this offense. Why don't you stick with him? He's played well the last couple weeks. Leftwich, you just brought him in, and he can't know the playbook. And as it turns out, he kind of did blow the game for you. I don't know much what to say about either of these teams. I mean, as for Tennessee, obviously they got lucky. They played pretty poorly. You're not going to turn the ball over 5 times and win very often. So, oh man. I don't know. Let's see. Washington pummels the Lions, and I don't know if I believe in the Lions anymore. Statistically, their defense is good, but when you watch it play against a competent offense, they get smoked. If you look at the quarterbacks they played when they played well and piled up those big sack and interception stats, you have Tavares Jackson, Josh McCown, and who was the other guy that they beat? Oh yeah, Brian Griese. So I don't think this defense is for real, and I don't know if this team is even going to make the playoffs after all, because they're 3-2 now. I still say Green Bay has that division, and if you ask me, they got no defense. Their offense did not show up. They gave up more points. Washington's defense scored more points than the Detroit offense. That tells you all you need to know. Kitna played awful, and he's the kind of guy, generally you can expect him to go out on any week and rip it up, but he played poorly. He really did. They couldn't really run the ball that well. I thought Kevin Jones did an okay job, but needs to do better than that. And just a really bad day for Detroit, and I'm not sure if this team is for real. Washington played real well on all sides of the ball. They got good quarterback pressure. Overpriced free agent signing Andre Carter stepped his game up, starting to deliver a little bit this season. Campbell played a very, very good game. Had a couple of touchdowns, completed almost all of his passes, throwing it around to Randall L., who's having a really good season so far, surprisingly. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. They ran the ball well. They played great defense. And next week, you got Washington traveling to Green Bay. That's going to be a great game, and it's going to tell us a lot about both of those teams. Houston. I don't know, man. I don't know, Houston, but you need a 57-yard field goal as the clock hits double zeros to beat the Dolphins, the worst team in the league. After the first couple weeks of the season, of course, I'm no bandwagon jumper, at least I try not to be, but I was thinking, this team, maybe they can compete in that division, but they're the weak link in that division right now. You lost 2 in a row, and now you barely beat the worst team in the league in your house because your kicker had the game of a lifetime. He kicked 3 50-yarders, and you can talk about Nick Folk all you want, but that is really probably the best effort from a kicker I've ever seen. So, Houston, step your game up. Some people need to get back from injury, obviously. Amon Green and Andre Johnson. But right now, this team is the worst team in the AFC South. So they could end up doing pretty well, I think. But that division right now, they're overmatched, even if it's not by much. As for the Dolphins, as I said, I think they're the worst team in the league right now. That whole Trent Green thing is messed up. I even heard he might get fined because technically he went low on Travis Johnson. I mean, Travis Johnson was being an asshole after the game, but he did go low, so I don't know what's going to happen there. In the meantime, we get a chance to see Cleo Lemon. I like it. I think Cleo Lemon could actually, and I'm being serious, he has an awesome name, but that's not why I kind of like him. I think he could play reasonably well for the rest of the season. I also suspect John Beck will take the field soon, but for now, let's have a look at Cleo Lemon. Ronnie Brown. Oh boy. He was a better pick than Cedric Benson or Cadillac Williams, after all. He's the one bright spot on this Dolphins team right now, him and maybe Jason Taylor. So, I gotta say, I'm really impressed with what I've seen out of the guy. Let's see, Cardinals-Rams. Game I was kind of following for divisional reasons, and I had the Cards. I had a good week in Pick'em this week. I went 11-3. Really good week for me, but I was hoping the Rams could pull the upset just because Gus Frerotte comes in, has a very Brett Favre-like day. He throws for 250 and 3 touchdowns, but he throws 3 picks, 3 costly picks. I think at least one of them was returned for a touchdown. This Rams team, I think they had a chance to pull out their first win of the season, but their defense can't stop anybody, and they had too many offensive miscues. Not a lot to say, except they finally started to utilize Randy McMichael, which is good for them because he's a good player that they weren't using. And Brian Leonard played well, the Rutgers boy. Leonard Leap. So, I expect Steven Jackson to be back soon, but it's nice to know they have a competent backup, I suppose. Cardinals, they didn't win the game like I thought they would. I thought they would grind it out on the ground all day. With Edge. Edge had just an okay game, I think. Could have been quite a bit better against this horrible defense, but they won. They put up 34 points. They made plays defensively. They made a lot of plays offensively, but the future of their franchise, Matt Leinart, is going to miss the rest of the season with a broken collarbone. In the long term, this is obviously bad for Arizona because he is the future of their franchise. But in the short term, it lets them have a better chance of winning now because right now Kurt Warner is better than Matt Leinart. And I'm interested to see what Kurt Warner can take this team to. I feel inevitably Warner will get hurt because he has always gotten hurt these last few years when he plays. But let's see what he can do in the meantime because he's been playing well this year. I think he deserves this shot. Colts, what else can I say? 33-14 win over Tampa Bay, which is a pretty good team. They played with their backups. No Marvin Harrison, no Joseph Adai, no Bob Sanders. Joseph Adai, no Bob Sanders, and they win big. Kenton Keith, he's going to be huge for this team later this season. Adai is going to wear down. Adai is going to need a backup to come in and spell him a little bit, and Keith is that guy. 28 carries, 121 yards, and 2 scores for Kenton Keith. I think he's going to have a pretty solid season as the backup, and at some point he's going to be very important to this team, much like Dominic Rhodes was last year. Anthony Gonzalez continues to advance. He's closing in on 200 receiving yards for the season. Starting a little bit, had 7 catches for 76 yards on Sunday, starting opposite Reggie Wayne. Dallas Clark having a career year. Really, tight ends have been so big for so many teams this year. It's really fun to watch because the tight end always seems to be underutilized. Tampa Bay, Michael Pittman's going to miss most of the rest of the season, so maybe it's time to wave the white flag for Tampa because they're now down to their 3rd-string running back, Ernest Graham or something. I don't know. But I guess they're going to try and trade for a Mewelde Moore or a Mike Bell. Ultimately, I don't think they're going to be able to find a competent runner unless they can trade for Chester Taylor. Thirsty. And obviously getting a good left tackle is going to be even harder. I mean, I credit Garcia. He's played really well so far this year. He's not turning it over, like I said earlier. And he's just doing enough to help his team win games in the right situation. But this team needs to be able to run the ball. And without Cadillac Williams or Michael Pittman, I don't see it happening unless they can pull a trade for Chester Taylor. And, this defense, I think they were coming in a little pumped up. They felt they could stop Indianapolis without Harrison or Adai, and they got smoked for 33 points. So, I'm sure. I mean, a lot of dominant teams in the NFC came out flat. The better teams in the NFC, Tampa didn't play well. They got smoked. I think they felt they had a chance to win the game. Like my team, Seattle, Pittsburgh had a ton of injuries. We couldn't take advantage. Same with Tampa. Um, you know, I picked Indianapolis, so I'm not really surprised or overly disappointed in how Tampa played, but I think they should have kept it a little closer. And, moving on.